Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up, episode 117. Happy New Year's. We're going to do a top 10. Not a top 10 of comics that came out here. It was vague. Top 10 things that you liked this year. Me, it was some things are old I discovered this year, or one of them's a thing that is ending this year, or something that's happening this year. But most of it is things that I've discovered this year. And I think Kirby's, we're going to go backwards, give our 10th, our 9th, and so. But I will start because this was my idea. Mine is a record. It's an album. And it's a Glenn Campbell album I had never heard of. Glenn Campbell has been dead a few years now. I'm not a huge fan, but I remember he was very popular when I was a kid. But it's like Johnny Cash when he did those American songs, like R.E.M. So it is called Meet Glenn Campbell. I'm pulling it back up on Spotify because I just discovered it in the last couple weeks. But basically he covers Green Day, he covers Foo Fighters, he covers U2. And it must have been before he died. He died... He had there was a documentary about his descent during dementia. I watched the first 10 minutes and had to turn it off because it was just to see somebody who was always smiling when he was on stage, always a happy kind of guy, just be angry because he didn't know where he was or who he was. It was just heartbreaking. So I'm going to the album, but it's a great album. It's like 10 songs. I mean, this is a guy who was a session musician. He was a Beach Boy. He was a country star because most of his song was country, but he was a rock and roll guitar player. The album's from 2008. It covers Sing, Walls, American Dream. Some of these I didn't know. Times Like These Days, Sadly Badly, All I Wanted You. I don't know. I didn't know. I had to look who some of these people up were covered, but they were mostly rock and roll songs.
Okay.
And he does them as this country pop. And he is such a good musician and singer. It just blew my mind. I love a good cover tune. I like the cover tune. But I heard the Green Day one and went, what is he singing? And when I know this, and then I went, oh, wait a minute, this is Green Day. And then he did the Foo Fighters song, which is, I think, it's a positivity anthem. It's all right, but it is what it is, but it was amazing. And for like 4 days, I just listened to it in a loop. It's just an accident. It just popped up on my feed in one of those random, I put a search of something, I put a playlist, one of their playlists. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it makes me go down a rabbit hole. And I went down the rabbit hole, and it was amazing. All right. So y'all should check that out. So what was your number 10?
Okay, so just because I wasn't 100% certain on the rules, I decided to make my number 10 the teaser trailer for the Superman movie that's going to be released next year.
You understood that. You understood it exactly. That is something that popped up to you. I can't agree more. Why did you like it?
I think it set the exact right tone for what I have ever wanted in a Superman movie. Yeah. I like the Christopher Reeves movies, but this one just felt like a huge breath of fresh air and life into the superhero movie genre. I think has gotten very stale. This one just feels like it might breathe life into. We get Krypton.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Go back to we start with we got Crypto. You froze for a minute.
Oh, shoot. We got Krypto in a live-action Superman movie, and it's not portrayed as, look at this dumb thing from the comics. Isn't that stupid? It gives me... I have liked almost everything James Gunn has done, just in general. So I think he's going to give us the Superman movie that we really needed.
Yeah, I agree with you, because when I watched it, it was definitely he wants the same positive tone that Donner had.
Yeah.
I liked seeing the actor. Can't remember the guy's name because I don't know him.
no idea what he is. I just hate the fact that there's a
but
Superman younger than me now.
yeah, but I like that you can't tell. He looks different as Clark,
Yep.
and all it is a haircut.
That's all it should be.
I don't mind the collar on this costume. I think he's got the undies over the pants. I'm fine.
Yep.
Crypto looked great. Okay. Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion. I don't know if they put something on his face or he just looks like Kevin Maguire's guy.
I know. It's like, is that Silly Putty or?
I think that's his face. I think that's his face.
Nathan Fillion, everyone wanted him to be Hal Jordan. He lived long enough to become Guy Gardner.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I liked it. It looked great. It looked beautiful. And I've liked everything James Gunn has done. His middle Guardians isn't as good as the first or the third, but it's still pretty.
Yeah. And that one has Kurt Russell in it, so...
Yeah, I forgive a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a good one. All right, my number 9, Rom Returns. I wasn't even sure Volume 1 came out this year, but it did.
Okay.
They all came out this year, but they came out about 3 months apart. They were like 3 or 4 months apart. Even if it didn't, we got all 3 volumes of Rom. It is all completed. Everything is in there. It's got issues of other books that if I want to like Power Man Iron Fist, I get it. It's beautiful, and I think it's I think it's converted. I think people who'd never read it, like Kirby, bought it and liked it.
Yes. Yeah, yes. You sold me it on another comic book.
Well, it's Bill Mantlo.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful.
I mean, it's Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema. It can't get better than that. And it's just, I'm glad everybody's enjoying it. And now the epics are coming out.
I know, and I'm happy that they're going to reprint them more. And
I think that's all we're going to see, though.
That's all we're ever going to see. Like, we're not going to get smaller than the epics.
No,
for those.
But it's a great one.
Yeah, and I think we talked about whenever I brought it up before is Bill Mantlo did great stuff with a really crappy toy to base it off of.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he did the same with Micronauts. When I'm done with Rom, I'm going to read all the Micronauts. And I may just sit down and read it and not read anything else for a while. Because that is such a good comic book. I mean, as good as Rom is, I like it because it's fun and positive, but where Micronauts is Mantlo doing gritty.
Okay.
So it's a little. It also Mantlo should have done. Mantlo, if he had not had the accident, I think would have ended up getting a run. I think his run on Hulk is worth yelling about. But I mean, he did every issue of Rom and every issue of both Micronaut series. But he should be held up as one of the greats. And I think he missed the opportunity of getting a premiere book.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see him write Cap or Avengers or something else. That he just never got a chance. All right, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Dynamite Comics Space Ghost series that started this year.
I've heard good things about that.
It has been really good. Similar to what I was saying about Superman, is it fits the exact right tone. Because is it goofy Saturday morning cartoon? No. Does it use everything from that cartoon, but in a more sophisticated style? Absolutely. It doesn't just make Space Ghost like a belligerent Frank Miller jerk to Jan and Jace and Blip.
I never read any of the licensed stuff because I was like, how does this even work? Because the cartoons are just basic.
Yeah, they are. But they make all of these villains who, I've seen the original cartoons. I love them. But for me, growing up in the Adult Swim era, where these, Bragg, Zork, where they were jokes, no, this comic makes them, a legitimate threat and is telling a really good story. If this were taking place in a corner of the DC universe, it would fit in perfectly. I think it's only a 13-issue miniseries, but I hope it just kind of becomes an ongoing series.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna check
absolutely.
that out. I'm on a new app that has other independent. It's Dynamite. Dynamite's on this other app. Hey, I'm gonna pause a second because I think Hugs has gotten into the kitchen. Hold on.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Hugs! Hugs, get the fuck out of there! Now! Yep. I heard the fan. She got the lid off, and there are coffee grounds all over the kitchen floor.
Ugh.
She's in her crate now. She will be until I clean that mess up. I got the big stuff up. All right, so
I was just wrapping up the Space Ghost thing.
Okay. Do you need to say anything? Add anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, that gives me to my number 8. I picked to put 2 podcasts on this. They are my go-to on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Hump Day, and the last day for the day. There's 2 days where I always listen to them religiously. That is the Earth 2 podcast with Dave Steele and Peter Watson. As they get more elaborate and I voice more superheroes, I think they get funner and funner. And it's a blast, and I need it every Wednesday because it's Hump Day, and sometimes I'm going in my new job, some bigger meetings and some more important stuff, and a little more brain capacity is needed. But it's a great listen on my way into work, and I tend to listen to it to and from work, depending on how long it is. And the other is Untitled Star Trek. It is a podcast. It is a commentary podcast. They are watching the episodes. For most of them, I've seen them so many times, I don't need to be watching along. Joe Ford of Hamster with a Blunt Penknife, and a couple other podcasts, but this is it. That's his big. I've guested on him a few times, talking Doctor Who, and Nathan Bottomley from Maximum Power and Flight Through Entirety. If you want to listen to a great Doctor Who podcast, and it's from out of Australia, it's called Flight Through Entirety. They're great. They're very smart, erudite men. They have and women. There have been women guests, but they are just. It's probably the best Doctor Who podcast I've ever heard. And it's just awesome. But Joe and them and Untitled Subject, it is funny. They love all the ears. They find something good about it, but they also know when to take the piss out of it and of themselves. And it's a lot of fun. And their tags after are worth, sometimes they're 15, 20 minutes long, and it's just them chatting, and it's hysterical. Well worth it. I recommend them to everybody. Because right now I jump in and out of other comic book and Doctor Who podcasts, but mostly I'm listening to history ones and stuff like that, or listening to audiobooks on the bus now, just to kind of not be so pop culture, to have some other things in my brain. So, but that's my number 8. What's your number 8?
Yeah, just quick cosign absolutely on Earth 2. I just always love listening to those, and I always love the big cast episodes. They're always just such fun.
Oh yeah, it's such a blast. I can't wait for them to need it. They need Ted again.
Okay, so for my number 8, this is a show that ended this year. What We Do in the Shadows. It lasted for 6 seasons on FX. This has just been a killer comedy. Even if this last season was a season they really shouldn't have had, the entire cast is stellar. Matthew Berry, Harvey Gillian, all of them. It depicts 4 vampires living in Staten Island with their begrudging familiar, as they just, do great sitcom stuff, but with a horror element. It parodies so much of Interview with the Vampire, Frankenstein. Do you want to see Mark Hamill as a vampire in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania? There's an episode for you.
Okay, I've never watched. I've watched bits and pieces. I've never watched the whole episode. I'll have to check it out.
Absolutely. Like I said, first 2 seasons are great. 3rd season you can tell it was written during COVID. 4th season, really good. 5th season, even better. 6th season is just one of those, we hit the natural end point at the end of season 5, but we still went on for another season.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Stuff like that happens, but I would still highly recommend the show as a whole. Because even in season 6, there were still episodes I really liked, and there's never an episode where it's it's this character's episode. All 5 characters, I could watch all of them a million times over.
That's great. I'm going to have to try that out, because I do like everybody who's in it. So I'm going to move on to my 6. I've talked about this a bunch this year because
7.
7. I said 6 by mistake because, it is The Sixth Gun by Colin Bunn, Brian Hurt, Tyler Crook does 3 of the issues. There were 50 issues. and a miniseries. I saw a quick preview. I bought all 3 Omnis, and then there's a 4th volume, which is a miniseries of it. It is one of the best non-superhero comic books I've ever read. It is a Western, which I love the West. I like the same reason I like a samurai movie, the lone. But it could be. They did do a pilot for a TV show with Pablo Pascal, Adolphus Hodge, and a bunch of other people were in it. They took a different take on it. They were focused on some other minor characters. Didn't make much sense to me. But basically, there are 6 guns that have mystical powers, and whoever has all 6 of them can destroy reality and then build the new one in the way they want to. And basically, but you can only one person can be the owner of any of the guns at one time. So to take it from somebody, you must kill them, because if the owner is dead and you touch the gun, you burst into flames and die. It is an epic. Each story has a beginning and end, but it's the art is great. The characters, more and more, you even kind of like the bad guys. They're bad guys, but it's really, really good. And it's so good that I bought another book they do called The Damned, which is basically Prohibition with magic characters in it. And I bought that just because these guys are so good. I'm in the second Omni. I read the first Omni pretty much straight through. And I don't normally do that. And I'm about Omni. It's Oni Press, so it's kind of like Dark Horse. It's just a thick trade.
Yep.
I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, I have heard about Six Gun for years. Cullen Bunn, I just had some bad reading experience with him, but I think on his own creator-own thing.
I would never read any of his superhero stuff because they're all characters I don't give a shit about. Deadpool, Wolverine. I like them, but I don't really want to read their stories.
Yeah. So I will definitely probably go forward to this one, checking maybe next year.
I think you like it. It looks like if you could do Supernatural in the West with a lot of money and a big cast.
All right.
It's great. I love it. All right, what's your number 7?
This is another TV show that ended this year. Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, good choice.
Yep. Again, this has been 5 years of just a complete love letter to everything Trek, and it had a really good finale that just it ties everything together, but it definitely leaves plenty of room for them if they ever want to revisit these characters, and I would love if they would do like a movie in a year or 2 from now.
Yeah, it's a great show. All right, my number 6 is the Ghost Machine line.
That's my number 1, actually.
All right. See, it's the best line out there. I didn't get the Halo one. I think Pat missed it. I'll check when I go into the comic shop this week. But I've loved everything. I even like the horror stuff, and I don't like horror comics.
Yep. Like I said, this is my number 1. So when we get to number 1, I'll do one of my rants. But Geiger, Redcoat, Hyde Street, Rook Access, Rockefellers. I did read the Halo and Hornsby. I enjoyed it. So much of this line is made up of creators who were big when I really started getting into comics, like in the late aughts. So this is kind of a line just made for me.
Yeah.
Read it, love it, know it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing stuff. All right, my number 5. I put these together. They were going to be separate, but I wanted room for more. Your number 6. I'm sorry.
Yep. Sorry. Mine is from Titan Comics. It's their Savage Sword of Conan magazine that they do. I think it's bi-monthly.
Is that the one that Patrick Zurcher's writing some?
Yeah, where he does a
Solomon Kane?
Remember. It's a Solomon Kane backups in it. Yes.
Okay.
I really love a good black and white Conan comic. I've got a couple of collections of the Savage Sword from the 70s. And I think this is a worthy successor to it. Just absolutely. And it gives me the exact right amount of Conan I want. I don't know if I could read Conan month after month, but in these big, bi-weekly, beautifully drawn stories, I'll take it. I'll read this until it gets canceled, which will hopefully be never.
That's cool. Titan. I almost bought. I've been looking at Titan has reprinted the first Conan Omni Marvel ever put out, which is the the Barry Windsor Smith one.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna own one, I want that.
Yeah.
So, all right, my number 5. As I started to say, I put two things together to save space. Basically, it is the Absolute Power event leading into All In from DC. It was an event that where every issue works. That I read every issue. It wasn't that big. It's only like 20 issues total, which is not big. But the Wonder Woman, the Superman stuff, the Batman stuff, the Green Lantern stuff, were just you were reading different chapters in the book where you see what those heroes are doing, intermixed, and then Waller's miniseries and stuff like that. So you get to, and I'd read the stuff leading up to it that wasn't, yeah, I liked it, but the Suicide Squad that goes right into it, kind of, I had not read, and I liked it. I think it's great, and everything I've read of All In is really, really good. The only things I haven't read is Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. I will read their first All In issues because they don't follow them. But if they're fun, they're fun. But the question was good. I'm looking forward to Challenges of the Unknown. I'm looking forward to some of the other stuff. But everything I've read has been great. Been great. So I cannot recommend it more. When that Absolute Power comes out, collected, everything, I will definitely be buying it and rereading it right away because I thought I was reading a good novel.
Yep.
And that's what event should be. And it didn't have too many crossovers, and they weren't superfluous, which was mind-boggling to me. So, all right, what's your 5?
My number 5, and folks, by the time you'll hear this, you'll have heard the Christmas episode, but it is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 5th book in the Stormlight Archives series as part of his grander Cosmere universe books. This was basically the halfway point. This was the designed halfway point of the series, and I read it, finished about 5 days ago, and I'm still processing a lot of it. So much happened, so many mysteries have been answered, but it is a grand scale epic in the way I don't want every fantasy book to be, but the way this one has truly earned. And I cannot wait for the back half of this series. This one got me a little teary-eyed, I won't lie. It's like over 1,300 pages, and I just have to highly recommend it.
Oh man, I'll have to check those out. I may have to do book on tape though, because
okay. For those, don't start with his Stormlight Archive books. Just start with the first Mistborn book and and then I can help you out from there.
All right, I'll try that. When I'm doing the Passage vampire stuff right now on audiobook, and I'm jumping in and out of Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is. All right, my number 4 is Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I hate the last Batman movie. I fucking hate it. It's stupid. Patterson, I can't stand it. I'm sorry. If someone likes it, if you're younger than me, I talked to a kid who thought it was great. But he takes a bullet to his helmet. I'm sorry. Kevlar's not going to save your skull. It's going to be a piñata, and you're going to die. It's stupid. And I like the Penguin as a criminal. He's a fucking criminal.
Yeah.
He's not a freak. He's not Danny DeVito's is kitschy and stupid, and it's not the Penguin. But Colin Farrell, that he didn't get an Emmy nomination or Golden Globe or any nomination for any award for Best Actor, fuck you. He's mask acting. Him and the female lead who's playing Sophia Falcone.
She's great.
She's great. It is the best Batman stuff on TV I have ever seen. And he is absolutely... I hate The Sopranos. I don't.
Oh, see, I like The Sopranos.
I don't because it's the same thing every season. You introduce another gangster. Tony is getting nowhere with therapy. His family's falling apart, and he kills somebody, and then I got bored with it. And also, I've gotten to the point in my life, I'm tired of gangster movies where we humanize killers. He's not heroic. He's not sympathetic. And I have a problem with that, and it just really bugged me. But I am sympathetic to Oz.
Okay.
I get it. But he's not trying to be a better man.
No.
No, he's a criminal, and he wants to be the best criminal he can be. And that means killing people. He's a villain.
Yeah.
But it's such a good, layered performance. And it's really him, the kid, and her. And the cast is amazing.
Oh, it's a well,
It's
it,
the
yeah,
it's the best gangster show I have seen ever. I think in a lot of ways. Because the superhero elements are non-existent,
no.
except the flooding of the city at the end of that Batman movie is what sets up what's going on, and that Batman killed one of the One of the Falcons died in the movie. But he's amazing in it, absolutely amazing. What's your number 4?
Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit. I just put everything Mark Waid has written for DC Comics this year. So again, absolute power. World's Finest continues to be the greatest thing DC has put out in decade.
I only read it in hardcover, and I'm jonesing because they're 2 arcs ahead. So I'm waiting for hardcover 5 and basically up to 6 and maybe 7.
Yep.
And they look very pretty on my shelf right next to the World's Finest Teen Titans, which was amazing.
That was great.
It's great.
And the first issue of Justice League Unlimited was a really good first issue to bring back the Justice League after they've been gone for 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's a great way to bring them back. It is great,
yep.
And everybody's up. I've liked everything about it and all the things that kind of tie into it. He's driving the DC universe right now,
yep.
And I'm fine. Give him the keys.
Absolutely.
Give him the keys. I've been reading his action.
I have too. I have some thoughts on that action run.
I'm glad I'm reading it in chunks. I'm glad I'm reading it in chunks.
Yeah.
What I like about it is you get the Superman story, the Superboy, Super-Man story, and you get I like the Supergirl story a lot. I like her. Okay, I like her in space.
I've been kind of bored by the Supergirl story, unfortunately.
I like it. It's just her in space solving a mystery. I kind of like it. It's not. The flying around punching ship gets old. I like.
It does.
Yeah, and what I like about the Superboy and the Chinese Superman, I like them as characters, and they're good team. They're good double act. I think it's okay.
Yep, absolutely.
So, I agree with that on Waid. It's amazing. My number 3 was I rolled a couple things up into it, but it's basically because Lower Decks ended. I like New Kurtzman Trek as a Star Trek fan who probably was sitting on my brother's lap when he watched the originals when they first aired, and then watched them as the original and then Next Gen and Deep Space, which is my Star Trek, and Voyager, even Enterprise. I've liked all of Kurtzman Trek on some level. Some has been better than others, but Lower Decks is probably my second favorite Star Trek show, period. Because it captures what Roddenberry was trying to do that he was never very successful at doing.
No.
It is a love letters to 90s Trek minus all of Berman. Berman is listening on title. Berman is a little more right wing, and you can see the more he does a show. Enterprise, not that Star Trek at times, but I think it's about learning to be the better human. Still, right. But I think Discovery had a good ending. I think Discovery ended well. I think it ended.
Discovery. Sorry, I haven't seen. I dropped out of Discovery. I gotta catch back up. But go ahead, spoil away.
Well, no, I'll just say it had a good ending because its first season was very dark. Its second season was much. I don't mind it being dark.
Neither do I. I just felt it was joyless to watch.
Well, I think what my buddy told me was, and my buddy Ken told me, and once I got to that episode, he was right. Once you had the second Harry Mudd episode, they found their joy, and it's much lighter, and the whole crew becomes more bonded. And then when they find out the thing at the end, I think the first 4 or 5 episodes are really heavy, and they didn't need to be that heavy. They needed to mix fun with it, and I think about halfway through they make a course correction.
Okay.
And then the second season with Pike is.
Yeah, I've seen season 2.
And once they get to the future, it is. The universe is fucked up, but they're positive. It is a real Star Trek show. It's about the crew. The crew's firing all cylinders. It's very Next Gen. Everybody loves each other. We're all positive, and people go, "Well, it's too positive." You complained when it was dark. Now it's positive. This is as close as you're going to get to that kind of lovey cast. I like the third season of Picard.
Okay. Yep. That was really good.
The first one had good high and lows. The second one had high and lows. I get tired of the Borg, but But I didn't mind it because you had the whole cast, the original cast back. It wasn't all about them, but they all kind of built into the puzzle until that set designer deserves all the accolades in the world for recreating the Enterprise. D.
Yep.
She's amazing. She became like a celebrity for a year or two. So it was a great year for Star Trek. And now this year we're going to get Michelle Yeoh back.
Oh, yep.
I'm very excited about that. And Rachel Garrett, the character of Rachel Young, is in it. She's the one member who's not Section 31 going, I'm here to make sure you don't kill people. And I like that. I like that they're doing love letters. But most of all, Lower Decks, the ending is great. Tawny Newsome is going to create a comedy and supposedly set, from rumors, was on Starbase 80.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she is the head writer of the new live action show. Comedy. They want to do a comedy live action. They've seen that it works. The crossover with Strange New Worlds was genius.
That was a great episode.
And Strange New Worlds, if you want traditional Star Trek, they've learned from the mistake. Kurtzman and Kara Goldsmith have learned from the stumbling blocks of trying to modernize Trek. You only have to modernize it a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent it. It reinvents itself by giving it a different cast and a different setting. It works. But Lower Decks oh my God. It's a love letter to it. And it's very 90s Trek heavy.
Yeah.
But it's set, someone finally, because I have my DVDs and Blu-rays lined up in timeline order. So actually it goes Voyager, Lower Decks, Prodigy, and then Prodigy it did not get a fair shake. It starts at they said it was for kids, but it's a great kids cartoon because it's written for everybody.
Okay.
Because it's a slow build. Janeway holograms in it. All the characters are great. You got great actors playing them. Got John Noble playing the bad guy, who's a good guy in the next season. And you fall in love with all the little kids. You fall in love with the kids. Okay. And in the second season, you got Chakotay, the Doctor, and Janeway in it, and Will Wheaton.
Okay.
So it's really fun. And it leads right into it. That season is taking place right before the androids revolt in Picard season 1.
Okay.
It takes place right before the evacuation. They are talking about the evacuation in season 2 of Prodigy. Oh, and they bring back Ronnie Cox but he's Admiral Jericho, and he's Admiral Janeway's boss.
Jellicoe's in it?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love Jellicoe.
You would Kirby, you would really like Prodigy. You would really,
I need to
really
watch
like it. And it's really good. So if I was going to I might have to do a Star Trek and kind of rank it episode, because those shows are just I'm gabbing for most of my, and that was almost my number one.
Yeah.
That
okay.
Was that would have been. So where are we now? You're
3.
You're 3. Yes.
Okay. So again, because I thought this was originally going to be a little more comic heavy, mine is Resurgence of the Valiant Universe.
Okay, tell me about it, because I've seen these new volumes they got at, and it's triggering me to spend money. And one of the volumes that just came out is Lemire's Bloodspot.
Okay, so Valiant they went away for a while in like the late 90s, early aughts. They came back in 2012 with Exo-Man of War, and they have built and kept that continuity going for over 12 years. Now, in the past year or two, some behind the things happened. I am actually legitimately not sure what. They basically started just being run on one laptop on a poker table, but they got acquired by I think it's Alien Books.
Yes, Alien Books.
Yep, and so they have slowly started to rebuild their line. They've been doing. It's been a lot of great miniseries, just building and building and building to the main Resurgence of the Valiant Universe title that's currently going on. The third issue, 3 or 4, just came out either this week or last week, and it's been a while since a comic book death has actually Oh,
Wow.
this is
See,
Valiant.
I'm gonna have to try it because I've seen that they have like the original miniseries that restarted the thing, and that's in one of these things. They're called Valiant Origins, and it's
Okay.
and it's like their epics. And they just announced it. They've done the first wave, and the second wave has been announced, and it's like 12 or 15 of them.
Yeah.
And it's based on there's a faith one, there's a Bloodsport, is it Bloodsport or Bloodspot? Bloodshot is the first one and the most recent one. The first one is Colin Bunn?
That sounds right.
And then the newest one that was just came out is the Jeff Lemire stuff. The first volume of the Jeff Lemire stuff, I think. Because he has like 10 trades.
Yeah, that
he did it for a while, it looks like.
Yeah, like every universe has a character that I'm just not going to be into. Bloodshot's that for the Valiant universe.
Yeah, I was just going to get the Lemire issues because I like everything Lemire, and if he can make me read certain things, he's going to make me read. I'm going to have to check that out because I'm very intrigued in that because my buddy Ken's been talking about it for years, and I've just never been able to.
Like I said, I've been a Valiant fan since probably 2016 when I was at Con, and they had a booth, and they sold me a couple of trades, and I've been loving the current era of it. I've gone back and issue hunted for a couple of series of the original run from the 90s. I love the Kwame Woody Christopher Priest and Mark Bright did. I just don't talk enough about Valiant comics, and I think that the current resurgence miniseries just kind of has been great and gave me the opportunity to really talk Valiant.
I'm gonna have to check some of those out. I'll ask you which ones that I should get first. Definitely get the first one because it is like the origin one. It's like 3 miniseries.
Yeah. If you're gonna start with the 2012. Where that started?
I think that's what they're starting with. They're reprinting all.
Okay, so the Robert Venditti Exo Man of War series is going to be the one you're going to want. That's because that's the backbone of everything.
Well, that may be the set. That may be like the second. Okay. I'll show. I don't know how they came out, but they're like 4. If you go into In Stock Trades and just type Valiant Origin, it'll show you all the ones that are out. They're like 12 of them.
Okay.
And they've only been coming out the last 3 or 4 months. They're putting out like 4 or 5. They're putting them out a lot. They're dumping them. Because they're knowing what you know. Like, one person's going to want this character. And they're character-centric, except for the first one. First one is universe-centric. So, it's worth you checking out. All right. My number 2. Meeting Steve Englehart and Jim Shooter.
That was so cool.
And Kirby was there. We got to meet some of our heroes. That was very nice. I got to tell him how important he was to me. And I got my Celestial Madonna trade. We both got the same the reprint Superboy Treasury that had the
Mordru saga.
Huh?
It was the Mordru story, right?
Mordru story. Yeah, it was fun. They were both great. We had a good time. We went by, it was next year I will get a Friday ticket and a Saturday ticket so I can pick my badge up on Friday and not have to wait in that fucking line on Saturday.
At least it was a super nice day.
It was, but that was.
And we got to meet some face to face for the first time.
Yeah, I would have really liked to have gone to that panel though, which we missed.
That made me a little. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we got in and it just ended. It was upsetting, but that's my number 2. What's your number 1? I mean, what's your number 2?
Yep. So my number 2 is like, come on, are you kidding me? So this has been the 40th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this year, and IDW has gone whole hog celebrating it. There was an amazing one-shot special. Other things they have done to celebrate: TMNT, Black, White, and Green, which was an anthology miniseries, a couple of different stories in each issue. The sequel to The Last Ronin, Re-Evolution, just has been continuing that really good storyline. The one of the ongoings, the Saturday Morning Adventures, which perfectly captures like all of the fun and joy I had as a real little kid that made me a Ninja Turtles fan from the cartoon that started in '87, and the main IDW run, which Sophie Campbell's finished it out at issue 150, and even though I was not always a fan of a lot of her run, it just kind of became very kind of boring slice of life comics, and she got it through to 150, and then Jason Aaron took over, and I'm not the biggest Jason Aaron fan, but he has kept that continuity. They did not do a hard reboot, and they are just like, yep, this was a great year to be a Turtles fan, and I highly recommend everything I just read.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never read any of it. But I was a grown man when it came out.
Oh, yeah, no, you were a grown man.
And I was also tired of at that point, it was like, okay, it's an homage kind of to Miller, but I'm tired of the 80s angst shit. I was tired,
Sure.
You only needed one or two of them. You didn't need a fucking decade of it. But that's it. All right. My number one is, again, it's a little twofold. It is Jeff Lemire is writing Justice Society. I could not be happier, but I also want to thank Jeff Johns. I think, but we're going to do an episode about this, but overall, I think the Johns run 12 issues was good. The issues I have with it is it's when it was delivered and how. And I think I'm a firm believer in this conspiracy theory that someone I know had said, but I agree with it. I think DC sabotaged it when he stole all that when all that talent left to go work on Ghost Machine, and Johns was the driving force of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not? Look what Kirkman's done with Skybound.
Yep.
Look what Kirkman's done with Skybound, Walking Dead. Create your own lines. I mean, that's what Image is for.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job of it. There's a ton of Image I don't give a shit about. But more recently, there's a ton of Image I do give a shit about. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I've gotten the hardcover collections of Geiger and Junkyard Joe. I like their oversized square-bound omnis. On a high recommendation for a couple people, I've ordered the first volume of Fear Agent. It's science fiction. Still,
okay.
I'm going to try it, and I want to try its Manifest Destiny because it's a lot from it's basically Lewis and Clark with some supernatural shit. Their version of their voyage, but there's some supernatural shit in it.
All right.
So I want to try it out, and I've heard big reviews from people I trust. But I want to say, basically JSA. And my current favorite comic writer, because I read Fish Flies, I read Sweet Tooth. I found in the little library his short run on Green Arrow. I bought his Animal Man. I want to get his Justice League Dark. I also want to get more. I've got Ascender and Descender. I'm reading more and more of his stuff, and it's fucking amazing. But him on Justice Society, just the first issue alone, blew my mind, and the second issue tied it right in, and it is the perfect continuation of John's.
It absolutely is.
He's not erasing saying that. He's saying, yes, it happened, and I had fun reading it, but I'm only going to use these characters. And I think John's one ended. I think John stuck the landing on Justice Society.
I do too.
Some people complained about, oh, you're doing the Stargirl at the end. Yes, he is. Shut the fuck up. Well, it's just about, yeah. Do not ever dog that dude for creating someone as a tribute to his sister and mentioning it every time he does.
Yeah.
That's not rubbing the people. That someone I respect said something on that online, and I really wanted to say something like, "You're a dick." Because one, she's one of my favorite Justice Society members. That she's not in Lemire's right now, I'm a little upset.
I think he's
going to bring her in.
He's going to bring her
back. He is. I just think he's going to give her a break. And because people go, well, no one else writes her but him. It's like, yeah, other people have written her. Like, oh, wait a minute, Jeff Lemire. And his
we talked about it.
His Stargirl's good. She's a little. I don't like that they kind of bumped her in age a little bit.
Yeah.
Post New 52. So that was my problem. Or is that Rebirth?
I mean, like, I think they mentioned in Lemire's first date, like, she's like 17, 18. I think.
Yeah, maybe it's just the art because McCone made her look like a kid.
Yeah, she was like 12.
But McCone used to the covers.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was good. No, and I liked it. I just thought it was the perfect thing. Johns is one of my favorite comic writers of all time, and Lemire's up there. They're both up there with Englehart too. I put them up there with that. because they're good when they're good, and sometimes they're problem. I have yet to find something of Lemire's that I didn't love.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's fucking weird though. Fish Flies. I'm gonna read it. I've got all the issues. I'm gonna read some of the stuff I want to read whole. I'm glad I read Sweet Tooth. And Sweet Tooth was one of those big books. I just read it. I didn't read anything else for like 3 days because it was one that was like going, I love the show and I wanted to read the comic, but the show it's dystopian, but the Sweet Tooth is bringing hope, and he is in the comic. But the shit that goes on in the background in the comic, what the fuck? I mean, it was dark, but it was good. But those two issues in it, and I love how he's telling the story, and it's going to take 6 issues. I've seen the previews up through 5 or 6, and the 2 different storylines are still separate, and I have no problem with that. It reads like a Legion comic. You know how to separate the teams and focus on different people on different pages. So, all right, what was your number one?
Okay, so my number one was Ghost Machine, so I will pivot because we already talked about that earlier, and I will just say it has been my finally having a full run of multiple comic book runs and reading them all in order for the first time this year. The ones that are leaping to mind right now are The Warlord, Impulse, Fury of Firestorm, Fantastic Four Post-Burn. There's probably one or two... the Palmiotti Gray Jonah Hex. All of
That's
these.
coming back out in Omni again, and I cannot wait. It's supposed to come out at the end of the year.
Yep. Oh, if it's the first... like, all of these I could wax lyrical about for hours on end, and probably have. But just... as I'm back issue hunting, I absolutely read the comic as I'm finding them, and it's like, okay, I might not know everything that's going on, but this is still enjoyable. With some of these, it's just reading them in the order they were supposed to just makes everything better and better. Like, the Impulse one, I'm like, I am so sad that, like, all of his supporting cast has just never come back, and probably never will come back, but over, like, 90 issues, I fell in love with them. Warlord, I saw the highs, I saw the lows, the fantastic... I got to see the FF, as they translated into the 90s, and, the good stuff and the bad stuff.
I like a lot of that.
I did too, honestly. It was not as bad as some people think made it out to be.
Is it DeFalco?
Yeah, DeFalco and Ryan, I think, are the ones who ended after like a 5-year run, and I think it was a solid 5-year run overall.
I do too. I think there's some, I like Malice as a villain, but I do not like Sue as the leader in the thigh-high bikini costume.
It didn't work.
It was dated then.
Yeah.
So, but no, I can't. I'm kind of like because this year. I'm going to add one to what I didn't do was I read Lee Kirby for the first time, FF, from 1 on. And I found that I will forgive a Silver Age Marvel DC comic very quickly. Having read some of the Cap and some of the FF, maybe not so forgiving with Stan, because I don't know what I don't know where they're not disconnecting. But I was reading it, and I was getting to a certain issue number, and Kirby goes, "You're like 4 issues out from the good stuff," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And he was right. It was in the mid 30 issues, and we're starting to get to where we're going to meet the Frightful Four, we're going to meet the Inhumans, we're going to meet Black Panther, and it's good. Volume 5 has come out, and the next time I pick up Volume 4, I'll read the last couple issues in that and start Volume 5, and Volume 6 is coming out in June. And then I've been looking, then we got to figure it out, because I don't have any of the stuff after, well, what I have Omni-wise is I then have Burn. But Burn there's going to be a gap between 6 and Burn 1. There's a gap in the middle of Burn 1, and then there's a gap, then you could, do they create a 7, make a 7 that goes through from the end of 6 through the end of Burn 1? The first half of Burn 1, then do a Volume 8, which is the stuff in between Burn 1, Burn and his own run, and then make Burn Volume 2, Volume 9, like they did with Kirby. Kirby Cap is 4 now, Volume 4 of Captain America, and then because like Avengers, I said, fuck, I'm not buying any. If they do a volume 6, 7, 8, I'm not getting because up through 24, I'm only missing. There's only a couple of epics missing, and of course it's the Stern.
The ones you need.
It's the Stern one, but it goes.
Right.
Where does the last epic end? 24. It ends up at the crossing, I'm assuming.
We looked this up once here. You keep. I can look this up real quick.
But I don't know what I'm. Look that up so tell. But I would like to. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with FF, because I have for FF I have the Hickman, the Fraction, Aldred one that goes with those two. I got the Waringo. And I got another, and there's something else I've got, but that's later. So there's a big gap, like that 90s gap. How are they putting those out? And what's in Epic and what's not? Because the Englehart Simonson is spotty, and the Byrne Stern stuff is spotty. It's like there are big gaps in the FF epics, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and my plan is to for just as we do a little epic talk is to get all the epics that will then butt up against like Byrne, like 233 wherever Byrne starts, because then I think I'll have like everything FF through issue 1 to 400 whatever. Avengers, it's I have volume 3, and I'm going to end with what as I have it up here now, the end of Stern's run, which I think is Judgment Day. So I'm just waiting for them to fill out those holes, and then Silver Surfer. I'll get all of Silver Surfer 2 in 1. Spider-Man.
I gotta do the Silver Surfer. They're doing I keep missing the Englehart Rogers that volume. Yeah, but that's coming out in an epic this year.
Okay.
Because they're reissuing the original epic that has the FF and then the Lee Buscema, and then they're doing issues 1 through 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get that, and I may get some of the epics to fill it in, because that is my Silver Surfer.
Yes, that's perfect.
That I never thought that Englehart should have written it. He wrote it, and then Mars took over, right? And then you went from Rogers to Lim to Bright, or to.
Ooh, okay. That's where because I'm reading them as they're coming out, and they're not always out in order. I lose track because Starlin writes for a little bit around Infinity Gauntlet. That's yeah. So
and I have Infinity Gauntlet, the Epic or the Omni, and it has certain issues of that. There are like 8 Silver Surfer issues in it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds about right.
Well, that's good, because I've enjoyed my Cap, and the FF now that I'm reading it a second time with you monthly, and we're in the 20s finally. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, we hit issue 30?
Yeah, we hit 30. Yeah, so we're gonna the next one we do is gonna be pretty good, and then after that we're gonna get to some really good stuff. And I think there's some rough stuff in volume 4, post Kirby. Ups and downs.
Yeah.
But volume Omni 5 is where I jumped in, where Medusa joins, and I have a soft spot for it. So.
Oh yeah. So
I'm looking forward.
Real quick, Avengers Epic 26, Taking Aim, goes from 1994 to 1995, has Avengers 378 to 388, double feature Avengers Giant / Giant Man 379 to 382, Vision 1 to 4 Cap. That's in America 440 and 441. So
that's before the crossing. So that's not. So if that's not, because modern epic starts with Bendis.
Bendis.
So that means they've got a 25, a 26, 27, 20. They got some shit to do, because you would have Perez. Busick Perez would be in there. Jeff Johns' run should be in. Just do a Jeff Johns fucking epic Omni.
Yeah.
That's a great run. His Avengers I really like, because I like the lineup.
John's on an Avengers book, or on a Marvel book in general, just does not click with my brain, even though I know logically he did that. But I do want to read it, because I like John's.
You'd like it.
Okay.
You'd like it. He uses Jan right. He uses She-Hulk right. He brings in Captain Marvel and makes it the woman, and then gives her a new name. He's the one that brings in Scott Lang and Jack of Hearts.
All right.
he brings Vision back, and it's good. It's really good, and it's some Scott Collins art, which I'm always fine with.
Oh God, yeah, and they're a good team. I mean, see their Flash run together.
Oh no, because I got those, folks. I got the all three John's Flash Omnis, and I could just thumb through because he had great artists.
Oh yeah, whole run.
And so different than Wade, and Wade had great artists, and I mean, I'm sorry, it went Butch Geist, Greg LaRocque, or was Steve Light? When did Steve Lytle draw it too?
Maybe I looking that up right now.
Yeah, but it's I'm looking forward to that. I want to get the Johns. I was going to get the Johns Green Lanterns in trade, but I might. That's an evergreen. I didn't know it because someone brought Vision the middle volume, and it's got the Bullet logo at the bottom now instead of the other logo.
Nice.
So,
Lytle did like one issue of Flash.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, because I love Greg LaRocque's run on it. And
LaRocque, yeah.
Oh yeah, and he did a lot. Who else was on Wade's? LaRocque and who else?
LaRocque, oh my God! I didn't know there was going to be. I didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz.
Well, no. I've not read all the Wade. I want them to do an Impulse Omni.
Oh yeah, of course it comes out after I just put together my own collection.
Well, I don't know. Have they solicited it?
I don't think so.
They've got like they've got three Nightwings coming out and a second Nightwing McDaniels compendium, which I will get because I love that era. All right, folks, we could go on and on. So we will. You'll be listening to this is going to drop on New Year's Day. We're recording it the last week of December. Thanks for listening. This year has been kind of up and down. The second year of the podcast, basically because of work, my health, my stress of getting into a new job, but that is ending. I'm hoping to be a little more planning with my podcasting so we can at least have 2 episodes a week, a Starman and either something that is straight up just stop, let's team up, or Defenders, Legion, or FF, and maybe we'll add something else to the mix. I've got some ideas, but we'll get there. And I'm hoping that you listen to this and you have a good New Year. And thank you, Kirby, for coming on so much. I appreciate it. You've been a big help, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm always glad to be here, Ross, and Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, folks. Oh, one spot spoiler, our first big project of the new year will be we're finally going to cover Showcase 100. But it's going to be a chore. Guys, it's going to be a long one. It may be 2 episodes because we want to touch on all the guests and kind of give you a history of the people that are in it on top of the comic as well. So, as always, be smart, be safe, please be kind to one another. We're going to go into some crazy times coming up and read some comics.